This is the 25th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. In 1995, after the bombing, Oklahomans rushed in to provide whatever support they could, building neighborhood triage centers, providing food to fire and rescue crews, and extending a hand to those who were suffering. These acts of kindness gave us comfort and a sense of community during a very tough time. This became known as the Oklahoma Standard. As our way of honoring these acts of kindness, the Oklahoma City Dodgers Baseball Foundation will feature 25 people or organizations that exemplify the spirit of the Oklahoma Standard today. Our goal is to amplify their good works and inspire others. As Oklahomans adjust to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are encouraged and inspired by our neighbors doing good works.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another example of the Oklahoma Standard. With me today, I'm really excited because we get to speak with Bruce Waight, who is just, well, he's kind of into everything. I don't even know where to start. Okay, he is the founder of Rooted Barbershop. He is one of the co-founders of En Route, Cut It Forward, the Hair Collaborative, and he is also working with the Homeless Alliance, and they have a barbershop in their day shelter. Bruce, it's so nice to meet you in person.
Thank
or
you. It's
via
such a
Zoom.
pleasure. Yeah, well, either way, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So I heard your story from somebody that we both know, and he had me at Airstream. So tell us about En Route and what you guys are doing with that initiative.
So, En Route first started, it was a concept, and it kind of started with wanting to provide services for a special client of mine who was actually ill and in the hospital, and he couldn't make it to the barbershop. And so prior to that, prior to him being becoming ill, my fiance and I, Vanessa Morrison, were visiting family in the Bahamas, and we saw this was about a 16-foot horse trailer. And I thought at the time, because we were going to dinner, so we were walking down the beach, and at the time I thought that, this was going to be like a horseback riding type of thing. And so we went to dinner, and as we're leaving dinner, I realized that this was a little barbershop in Nassau that these guys had built. And so that always kind of stuck with me. I was very intrigued being a barber. I just thought that was just the coolest thing. And so getting back to the States and my client becoming very ill, it kind of prompted me to think about that and want to do something about it. And so that's kind of where the flame was lit for the idea of En Route Mobile Barbershop. And so I had to have an Airstream. It had to be an Airstream. I looked at other trailers, and we almost gave up because we couldn't find an Airstream. They're very expensive to buy new. But I was fortunate, and I was able to find one in Jones, Oklahoma. And I purchased it, and an uncle and myself, we built it ourselves. So a lot of sweat equity went into the mobile. And so now I ran it for about a year, a little over a year, full time, myself and one of my other barbers. And we came across a brick and mortar. So now we have Rooted Barbershop. And so now with the mobile with En Route, we do mainly like events. We actually just did a back to school event a couple of weeks ago for an organization called Citizens Caring for Children. And so we try to just do events out of it and community work out of it now.
That's so cool. And the fact that you have that option, especially in 2020, we're all learning how to be more mobile and more adaptable. And you're kind of ahead of the game.
Yeah, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Cut It Forward. I think this is such a cool initiative too, that I want to give it some time.
Mm-hmm. So Cut It Forward. So the thing with me is that I'm fortunate enough to because I sit on a few boards. Cut It Forward, I would say, is I guess a little bit more special to me because it has to do with my fiance and how she was raised and brought up. And so with Cut It Forward, that initiative is for foster and adoptive youth of color, and it's to provide holistic hair and skincare needs to those children and their parents. And so Vanessa Morrison, my fiance, she was in the foster care system for a while. So this is really, really near and dear to her as well. But for me, I'm fortunate enough because like almost everything I do, it still relates with barbering. And so it makes it easy for me. So I'm the barber representative on that board. I helped co-found it. And it's really growing. We have some amazing partnerships with that. And so our focus is to provide products to organizations that we're partnered with, and also education, resources. And so we provide that because we understand that you have a lot of parents that have adopted or fostered children, that they're not familiar with how to take care of their hair or their skin care needs. And so that's where we step in at.
That's absolutely a wonderful service that you all are providing. And, you know, we don't talk about it that much anymore, but there's a lot of culture around barbershops and salons for folks. And you really have invested a lot in bringing that culture to all the people that you serve, whether it's on the nonprofit side or on the for-profit side, right? You believe that that's a big deal.
Yes, absolutely. You know, with my brick and mortar rooted barbershop, Barber Plus Shop, our motto is cuts and culture because we believe in so much that the culture it's ingrained and it's important. And so we put a lot of focus on that, not to lose that. You know, I think sometimes in business, we want to do everything right, or we want to be very inclusive. And sometimes we tend to lose out on the culture. But the culture is important to bring to the forefront because that's what people really want. You know, that's the core of what we do sometimes, especially in the barbershop. And that can mean a lot of different things to different people. You know, I try not to knock what other barbershops are doing or how they view culture and what it means to them. But for us, it means something. So.
I read about your artist in residence program. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I like that program. You know, when we first started, the thing about me, I really try to be intentional about the things that I do, purposeful. And so with our brick and mortar with Rooted Barber Plus Shop, when we first got that building, it was a lot of empty wall space. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with that space. And I knew I wanted to do something different. And I didn't want to be I guess cliche, if you will, and do the sports and the Michael Jordan on the wall and the Magic Johnson. And so we have a lot of friends in the art world, and they would express in conversation how difficult it is to get their work into spaces, and so we have like a separate room we call it the washroom. And so that room has track lighting. It was already there. So it had track lighting. And with the track lighting, it was like a light bulb just went off. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to create some type of program and I'm going to have, and so our residency and our artist in residency program was started like that. And we've had 3 artists, I believe, so far. So we were intentionally doing 3 a year, but we decided that was too much. So we do 2 artists a year. And of course, COVID has kind of put a hamper on things because one of the things that we like to do is throw a couple parties for them. We try to sell some art for the artists in residence. We don't take any profit from them. So it's a really great program, and it gets to showcase up and coming artists, give them a platform, and they get the entire space. So kind of almost whatever they want to do, they get to do it. And so right now our artist in residence is Jai. I'm gonna be terrible. I can't think of his last name right now, but he's an amazing artist. You've probably seen his artwork before. So if you go to our website, you can check it out.
Oh, definitely. And I encourage everybody watching to go to your website. It's very well done and has a lot of great information about all of these initiatives. So talk to me about what motivated you to partner with the Homeless Alliance and start your second
Yeah.
barbershop, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that I have a second location because it's inside the shelter, and I don't think that's ever been done before. There's a lot of people doing the work out here, not just locally, but I think all over the country. So I also so Oklahoma has a state barber and cosmetology board. I'm also the barber representative on that state board. And then there's a national barber board called NABA. I also sit on that board. And so NABA has allowed me to travel the country to other states and connect with barbers, all over the nation. And so I know all over the nation that there's work being done. But I wanted to do something different. I think with me, I've always volunteered with the Homeless Alliance Shelter. And I can't tell you why. I can't tell you, I don't remember what drew me to that. I just knew that I wanted to help, and I wanted to help in that way. And so years later, I kind of found out some information that kind of put a little bit more meaning to it for me. My dad passed away a few years ago. And so at his funeral, I found out that he was homeless for a while. And we didn't know, my parents are divorced. We're from San Antonio, Texas. And so my brother's military, and he's off doing his thing, and I was here. And, sometimes it takes some time to get back home. We might go a year and a half before we go home. And so my dad was homeless. And he didn't have to be. We didn't know. He kept it to himself. And so that just put a little bit of deeper meaning to it for me. And so, but anyway, I would go and volunteer for years. I was going to the Homeless Alliance Day Shelter maybe 7 or 8 years now. And so when we built En Route, we would take En Route out there and volunteer once a month, I believe, or every other month. And then we got Rooted, and Rooted really took up a lot of our time. And so wasn't as able to volunteer as much as I wanted to. And I didn't like that. And I was trying to figure out a way how that I could dedicate some more time to it. And so I was just in bed one night, and it just came to me. I was like, I'm going to build a shop. I'm going to build a barber shop inside the shelter, And so we got a great sponsorship, and we built it. I came up with a concept. It was a volunteer type of program. So we created the Hair Collaborative. That's what it's called. So it's not a nonprofit. I haven't wanted to turn it into a nonprofit because that's a lot of work, and I'm running on fumes already. And so I haven't turned it into a nonprofit, but I've been able to really work it really well with volunteers from local barber schools and local barber shops. So we have professionals that go out there and provide these services. And before COVID, I believe we were having 2 to 3 days a week that we had volunteers down there providing, those professional services. So it's really amazing. And if anyone has seen Rooted Barbershop, it looks just like that, just like miniature. It's really small. It just has two stations, but it's the exact same setup. And the idea for me, because like I said, the work is being done, but like what I see across the country is I see barbers setting up tents and doing things outside, things like that. And I didn't want that. I didn't like that because I felt like these individuals that are experiencing this needed to be in that space. They needed to feel, and it's funny because funny is probably not the right word, but it's intriguing because a lot of these gentlemen, men and women, they come in, and a lot of the things similar that they say is that it's been years since they've been in a real barbershop, and that's exactly what I wanted. Like that's what I thought of that night, is that I wanted them to have that experience and to be in the feel of a real barbershop. And so while many others are doing the work, and I commend them, I think I took it a step further to make it, because it's not about me, right? It's not about us. It's about the individual. I mean, we're in the service industry, and so I wanted to be able to provide a service to an individual, but for them to be able to understand that they feel welcome in that space. And so
Yeah, you're serving
that's
with
kind of how
you're
that.
serving them some dignity, and
Exactly.
giving them the same respect you would give your paying customer, instead of
Exactly.
discounting that. And I think that that
Yeah.
is absolutely a beautiful gift.
Yeah. Thank you so
So
much. Yeah.
I love some of what you've said throughout this whole interview. I think are keywords for your experience. I mean, and really, this has all happened over the last 10 years. You've created all of this.
Yeah.
And so you use the word intentional a couple of times, and you have got to be incredibly intentional. And you just, we talked earlier about the fact that you haven't had time to celebrate all of these things because you're continuing to move forward, and just you're adding layers as you go. And I think that that's pretty incredible. And so I'm going to make you stop for a minute,
Okay.
celebrate you and Vanessa, because she's your partner in all of this. But has there been a time where you've been completely in the moment? Maybe it's with a client across any of these programs, and that you were like, yeah, I did it. I got it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really weird about like celebrating. I'm really humble. Um, I guess the only time is when I hear someone else, congratulating me or giving me a little bit of the glory. I really don't think about it. I just continue on the path. I just know that this is my path. This is my journey, and so I don't feel like I'm. I feel like sometimes when you celebrate, it's it's because you've ended, right? You've completed something, right? When you graduate college. I didn't go to college, but I can only imagine when you graduate college and you get your degree. You've completed that program. Or I guess like as a barber, I had to go to barber school and I completed that program, and I'm
Sure.
currently doing my instructor's program. And so you get to celebrate, but I guess I never really celebrate because I feel like the work isn't done. And maybe that's why, I really just don't think about it, because the work is still continuing. And so maybe
Sure.
one day I'll get to throw a big party and celebrate. Um, but, right now, that's just me. I know other people that are in the organization that I'm in, they may want to celebrate their accomplishments. But I guess because I still feel the work is still being done, it's not time to celebrate yet, I guess.
So maybe celebrate's the wrong word. I call them mission moments, where I just go, yep, I hit it. Today
Yeah.
we got the mission done.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think
so
for me, if you say it that way, for me, it would be when I see the work that I'm doing is impacting others, making others want to volunteer, or just making a difference in others. That's kind of when I get that moment like, okay, this is worth it. I guess maybe this work is worth it.
yeah. Well, it's a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of dreaming, and a lot of energy put behind all of that, for sure. And I cannot wait to see what's next, because I'm pretty sure there's something around the corner for you. Um, we started this project as a way to inspire a ripple effect. When we looked at the acts of kindness that happened after the Oklahoma City bombing, they were small acts that really did start to create a culture in Oklahoma City that really, I think, it made our community better. And so, out of something so painful and tragic, there were moments of really special neighbors being kind and helping one another out. And that seems to be a huge part of your story. um, if you could say something to the folks watching at home that maybe don't know where to start but want to do something, what advice would you give them?
Well, one thing that I always say, because I think a lot of people, when they think of giving back, they think of just maybe giving money, writing a check. And that works a lot of time. But I think there's a lot of people that maybe don't think that way. And so one thing I like to say, because I'm in the trade industry, so I have a trade that I love and I'm proud of. And so I would tell people, I've said this before, that if you can't give your money, then you should give your time with your skill, with your trade. So if you have a trade, if you're a carpenter or a welder or anything that you do, if you're in the financial industry and you just want to give your time by doing a workshop or just give your time, give a little bit of your time. Um, and that's a great way to be impactful. So I believe in giving your skill away. I'd rather go, and I don't know why, but I guess I get more enjoyment out of going and physically doing what I do best than just to write a check or to give some money away. And so that's what I would say. If you don't know where to start and you have a skill set, then give your skill set away. That's what I would say.
Absolutely great advice. Well, Bruce, I really appreciate you joining us today for our example of the Oklahoma Standard, and congratulations to you and Vanessa, and can't wait to see the wedding announcement.
Yeah.
And just
We
the
should
great work
already
that
be
you.
married. Yeah, thank you. We should be COVID stop. We had a destination wedding, and so
Oh no,
we
where were
we
you
reset it.
going?
Yeah, we're going to Belize. So my family's from Belize, and we're going there to get married. But with COVID, it put a hamper on most things. So we have a date reset. So yeah, she's amazing. Without her, I couldn't. I hate that sometimes I'm like the face behind a lot of what we do. She does chair our nonprofit organization, Cut It Forward, but without her, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this stuff. So we're a true team.
I love to hear that. Well, congratulations to you both, and we
Thank
hope
you.
that nothing but good things for you guys in the future. So until we can see all of you back at the ballpark, we hope you have a great day.
Thank you so much for your time.